Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. Tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw was right up against Monday Night Football in order to, try and soften the blow of the two big football games. Of course, you had Arizona going up against San Diego, and then in the opening game which went up against this match, you had the Detroit Lions against the New York Giants. So WWE pulled out all the guns, basically gave away a pay-per-view match on television, and you can basically debate if they really are giving it away right now because of the WWE Network. I always tend to think of the pay-per-views basically being free. I think of basically what I signed up for with the WWE Network is majorly just the previous back catalog of on-demand stuff that they put up on there. No longer will I be out there out searching for the DVDs. If only this had come out 3 years ago, before I started my DVD collection, so much money would be saved in my back pocket, and I could go watch Vengeance 2002 without having to go buy it off of Amazon a couple of years ago or something like that. But basically, Bray Wyatt fought against Chris Jericho in a steel cage match. This was about an average 20-minute match to start off the show, and it was a really good one. I mean, honestly, when you think about Bray Wyatt and steel cage matches, you can think of Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan going up against the Usos. You can think of I believe it was Payback, Bray Wyatt going up against John Cena. That's, of course, the one where the kids started singing and it freaked Cena out and he wasn't able to climb through the door because he was scared, and basically had him walk right into his sister Abigail from Bray Wyatt, and then Bray Wyatt would walk out the door and he would be the winner. And then, of course, you come to this match. So it's sort of like the steel cage match is becoming the Bray Wyatt match, the staple match for him, even though I guess he lost the tag match. And then, did they lose that tag match? All I really remember was Bryan kicking his ass and getting out of that horrible angle. And then, of course, he would win that one. And then he won this one again here tonight. Very fun match. Chris Jericho, he normally always comes out there and always puts on a good match. I've never really considered Jericho one of my favorite guys. But thinking about it, very rarely does he ever really go out there and stink up the joint. SummerSlam, Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho, stunk up the joint. I got a picture of Miguel trying to fall asleep, sitting there on the barricade. And honestly, this one, I'm not going to say it made up for it, but honestly, this was the best match that these guys have had. Bray Wyatt, I think, to me, is mainly the problem. I just don't really connect with this guy. He's a character that doesn't really get along with me. I know a lot of people draw comparisons between Bray Wyatt being the new Undertaker, and sooner than later he'll go on to some babyface run, and we'll see what we can do with it from there. But I don't know. Very good match. Basically, because of the Wyatts being at ringside, Chris Jericho was scared to leave the cage, or he was going to get his ass kicked, so he was forced to try and win the match on the inside. Even if you won the match on the inside, they're going to come kick your ass after that. So I still don't get that. I didn't get that in the John Cena match either, where basically John Cena could have jumped down out of the cage, but he was scared because Eric Rowan was standing there. But you're about to drop 10 feet onto somebody. Aren't you going to squash them when you fall on them? Or was he scared that he was going to jump out of the way and then Cena would land on the ground and then he would get started eating him? I don't know. I didn't understand it. I was just, if I'm Cena, I make sure I jump where I'm going to land on him. He's going to take most of the blow, and then I can, celebrate my victory by getting the fuck out of there. But Jericho, he got forced up to the top of the cage where he thought he was going to climb down. The Wyatts came over, so Jericho finally, the only thing he could do was jump. He even gave everybody at home sort of like, oh, fuck it, what are we going to do? Hits a crossbody on Bray Wyatt. But in the process of hitting the move, he sold his knee like he blew it out. He would regain up to his feet, sort of, playing possum with Bray Wyatt, where Bray Wyatt would run into the cage, and then Chris was trying to crawl towards the door where he would get it open. Just as a minute ago, he didn't want to climb down to the cage to get out, but all of a sudden he wants to climb out the front door, and the Wyatts weren't going to slam the door into his head or anything like that. But basically, he gets about halfway out. Bray and Jericho start fighting on the steel steps. Jericho's trying to fight his way out of it. Bray's trying to fight to get him back in there. And it was some of the best photography I've ever seen for a steel cage match. Basically, the cameraman put the camera on the ground and shot up the steps to where basically you're just seeing Bray Wyatt punch on Chris Jericho. Jericho's reaching for the steps, trying to pull himself out of the cage. Finally, Bray he starts beating on Jericho's knee, and instead of trying to do the thing where he's going to pull Jericho back in, dives over Jericho, hitting the floor, where basically he becomes the winner of the match, and he proceeds to throw Jericho back into the cage, locks the door, and proceeds to just beat down on him, crushing the knee, hitting the Sister Abigail on him. I'm not sure if the plans for Chris Jericho is to leave after tonight's Monday Night Raw and go off and do his Rockstar Fozzy stuff, or if he's going to work Night of Champions. I've heard from people that he's not going to work Hell in a Cell, so maybe they're just thinking of taking him off of TV. I was really hoping for a Jericho versus Randy Orton match at Night of Champions, but maybe we're not going to get that. But I'm guessing when Jericho comes back, it's Jericho versus Bray Wyatt again, if he does leave. So, I don't know. This was a good match. I'd be willing to give it another chance after this one, but we'll never know. Peace out.